Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with
Dave.
And today we have a viewer suggestion from the Scarlet Sorceress, and they're looking to start a game, but they only have so much information figured out for the setting.
So if you'd like to send us your video suggestions, you can send them over to nerdarchy@gmail.com and just put viewer suggestion in the subject line, and we may answer your questions and do your video recommendations.
So they've got this, that they're currently running a game that's been going on for a while. They're getting close to the wrap up, and a new GM has been working on this new campaign setting. They said they've got races figured out. They've got a handful of guilds. But they feel like they haven't created the full world just yet, and they wanted to know what kind of suggestions we had to offer.
Perfect. Stop. Don't. It's all subject to change, and as long as it sounds like you have a lot of work done already. Mm-hmm. As long as there's nothing pressing, leave holes in your world. Don't finish it. Like, an unfinished world is a beautiful thing, because then it allows your players to interact and add their own agency into it. Maybe they had some ideas that you didn't think of, but maybe you'll like them, and you can develop those holes with your players.
Absolutely. Nerdarchy, we've been running 5th edition games in our own campaign setting for quite a while. We don't have the full set of deities figured out. We still have lingering thoughts out there about handful of other races.
Look, I'm just gonna let you guys all in on a secret right now. The truth of the matter is, you've used more of our material in your games than we have. We get on here, we create stuff, we make stuff. It's fun. I want to say 90% of it doesn't make it into our games. Mm-hmm. Some of it we do and we want to use. Some of it we're still planning on using it, and we just haven't gotten around to it. Some of it just isn't right for the game we're running at the time. But that being said, that's fine. It's okay. Like, we have all these gaping holes in our world, and we keep saying, like, we're at the point where we really need to put some more of this stuff down.
Right.
And I'm not talking about that shit we made on the other side of the world that me and Ted aren't really even using right now, because it's not relevant. It doesn't matter, right? We just have the idea, it's out there somewhere. But the things that are around Gryffindor, where we generally play, where, like, we go from Gryffindor to Rylor, to the mountains where there's different things that we've encountered, to the portal, to the Dragonborns.
I really feel that amongst the three of us in Nerdarchy, all of us have at least some difference of opinion in regards to where Carchapathon, Gryffindor, and Crathan Gulch, what's their relation? I see it as a triangle with the elves. If Gryffindor is here, the elves are up here, Crathan Gulch is over here, and I think the other guys see it completely differently. Like, it might be a line, or they might be on in the middle. Like, it could be all kinds of craziness. We've never done a map. We've just been running things as is, and you know what? The thing is, we're playing a game. We're all having fun, so. It doesn't really matter. Like, if you're a single GM doing things in a single world, come up with it on the fly, make changes as you need to. You don't need to pull out a book and say, here's a campaign setting for my world. Here you go, read it. It's not going to work that way.
Your players won't care. They honestly will not care. Like, they'll care how things impact their character, and if you let it unfold during gameplay, they'll care much more.
Absolutely.
You might do some things where every once in a while you give them a bunch of information because you feel like it's something their character would know because they're from a region and stuff like that. But if you give it to their player, like, and you do it when it's pertinent, right? Because if you just do it when they come up with their character, I would forget. I don't know about anybody else, but I would forget if they told me about some, all this stuff my character should know at the beginning of the campaign, and we go 5 sessions deep. Depending on how often you're getting together, like, I'd be like, I don't remember any of that stuff. So you want to just, like, kind of introduce it slowly. Like, if you want to do a basic outline of the campaign, so that your players know what's going on, especially do a session 0, where you guys can discuss this stuff, and maybe some of the things you even came up with will change, depending on the input from your players. You just work it out together and don't sweat it. Like, the idea that everything needs to be done in order to play the game is ridiculous. If you saw how little me and Ted have actually done for campaign building, like, we come up with gods and we're like, oh crap, we need a name now. Well, they might make it up on the spot.
Truth be told, Nate's been in my game, number of sessions. He's currently not an active player.
Over a year.
I can't tell you what god he worships. I can't tell you.
I don't think there's a name.
I'm certain we came up with a name once, but I don't know it.
Yeah, maybe they know it. They're using that god in their world now. It gets said every time they play. So really, like, I think you're focusing on the wrong things when you focus on that stuff, in my opinion, right? I just feel like, if you're having fun, it doesn't matter. And like, no one really wants a world encyclopedia. And here's the other problem. If you create that world's encyclopedia and you put it out there, then you're stuck with it.
Right.
Like, what happens if your players remember stuff better than you? Because you read it down and they read your thing and they memorized it.
Right.
Like, so when you change it, they're going to be, well, I don't know, line 66 here on page 4 says... you don't really need that. Just a rough draft, a rough outline, the theme and the feel of the world. That's usually more than enough.
And the pertinent information that you think a character needs to have, instead of info dumping at one point in time, bring it up when it becomes important. Okay, Dave, as your character is entering the mountains, you recall from your dwarven tales about the mountain range, blah 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 blah, and go on. You give it 3 or 4 sentences. You give him the information he needs to know for that, or when it comes up, and then it's up to him as to, okay, well, all right, I'll jot that down, or I won't.
Right. So, and just a couple minutes. It shouldn't be too long. 5 or more is really getting into a territory of, going on way too long.
You're not going to be able to retain that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Little chunks. Little chunks throughout your game, I think, is the best way.
2 to 3 sentences when it's pertinent. Either at the mention of a name or the visual sight of something, you can just, you remember this, or this. It becomes pertinent. They then rationalize, well, you're telling me this because I've seen this, so therefore this is important to something, so let me do what I want with it.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like if there's things that are unfinished, they're probably not that important. Considering how much work that has already been put into this campaign setting. So, session 0, you just go over, okay, these are the new races. These are changes to races. Here's any tweaks we've made to classes, or classes that are unavailable, or new classes and stuff like that. That's important for them to build their character. If you have other, things that are specific to your world, because they're playing Pathfinder, so there might be traits or something that you're mechanically using that the players might want to know about or need to know about. That that kind of stuff to have from them in session 0. If there's a region that they're all going to be playing in, and there's some big things that you feel like you want them to know, like who the ruler is, the name of the town that's the closest that they're probably going to start in. Things like that, but nothing like, again, nothing like an encyclopedia. Just these little fragments of information they're going to need to get started, and then let the players discover it in the game.
Right. Let them see why your world is unique and why it's interesting, and give them enough to get them hooked, but let them discover and enjoy that.
Yeah, stay away from dissertations. Nobody wants that.
Right.
Believe it or not. So.
Do you guys have any thoughts and comments on this situation? Anything for the Scarlet Sorceress? Put your comments down below. While you're at it, like, share, even subscribe.
Can patronize us in a good way on Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.